Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about the idea of training our weakest lift and why that doesn't necessarily mean what it sounds like. When we say train the weakest lift, it doesn't mean, oh, you just do more of the lift that you're bad at. And this video is older footage, and because I'm so far ahead on informative videos, this video might not even be coming up for up to 3 months. That's how far ahead I am. But it's this old footage from this month. And for those curious, this is like middle of August. You might be seeing this in November or December. So this is me showing stuff of me doing some deficit deadlifts and seeing my weak links there. Like I pulled a 625 off of a 1-inch. And so on. And we see my lockout is now soft. Now my lockout wasn't always soft. When I had just broke 600 again earlier this year, I didn't have that issue. So we see weaknesses coming out. So we could argue one of my weakest lifts is the lockout of the deadlift, even though my deadlift is technically elite for my class. We could look at that and say, okay, that's a weak link. But what else do I mean? My sumo deadlift is really by far my weakest deadlift. And it's not even in the same realm with my conventional right now. So you'll see me doing some things here that will carry over to it. And this is why it's important to think about these things, okay? Because we know that I'm weak in certain areas on my main list. I'm a little weak at the lockout right now on my conventional deadlifts. Lockouts are a little soft. We know that my upper back is a massive weak link in my squat at the moment. Okay, it's keeping me from hitting that truly elite squat still. So what am I doing here? I'm doing safety squat bar. Box squats for my speed work, okay? But this stuff all ties in together, doesn't it? Because, yes, this will build the upper back for the squat. One of the things that will build the upper back for the squat. But we know the sumo deadlift is my weakest deadlift. So this is training the sumo, right? Isn't this training the sumo deadlift? Isn't it well documented and understood that box squats with a safety bar actually tend to carry over really well to sumo deadlifts when done with a wide stance because of the back angles and stuff involved, because of the extra upper back that gets involved, more so than on a normal squat. And that box squat stance itself is very, very indicative of a sumo deadlift. It's a lot of movement carryover. It builds a lot of the muscles involved. So when we say train an exercise, we mean train the weak links of that exercise. Okay, so if an exercise is your weak link, if you have an exercise that you're bad at, and I would tell people when they say something like, well, I pull conventional or I pull sumo, so I don't care about the other one. That is a really piss poor mindset. Why? Because it represents a strength disparity at a basic exercise. And the sumo and conventional work different muscles in a different balance. And they have a degree of carryover to each other. So if you train to get good at both, you will tend to improve at the other one. It will also allow you to avoid overuse by putting focus back and forth on one versus the other through different weeks. Or even different things of like phases of speed work and stuff. It will allow you to balance out those different muscles. Because even the upper versus lower body ratio is different. The amount of back involved is different. The muscles of the lower body are different. So here you see me doing speed pulls with sumo. Okay, that'll help build the sumo, obviously. That's technically training the sumo in a very direct way. I'm weakest at the bottom of the sumo, and that speed helps develop that speed strength. The box squat probably does even more, though, for the sumo, especially done with that bar. That'll carry over a lot. But what else do we have going on? This is what I mean by training your different movements and understanding them. You know, people will not realize they need to train a wide and a close grip bench press. Okay? They need to probably get good at sumo and conventional. You should probably be good at all your basic exercises. And you find the weak links in those movements, because if you're weak at something, it probably is carrying over to a weak link with something else. And I'm going to kind of tie that all in for you guys here. I'm weakest at the bottom of a sumo. When I'm failing sumos right now, I can't get them off the floor. Or they budge an inch and then that's it. And it's dramatically weaker than my conventional deadlift. Which muscles are involved with breaking the sumo off the floor? Glutes, hip extension. Glutes and hip extensors. Okay. I currently, even with an over 600-pound deadlift, where's my weak link on the deadlift? Well, people say, well, grip. Yeah, my grip needs work at this point. I'm about to fix that back up. That lockout. Which muscles are responsible for that? Assuming you're not starting with a very serious rounded T-spine. In which case we could argue about upper back. All right. But, well, let's talk about that upper back. If there is an upper back weakness with that, isn't it going to be resolved with that safety bar work? And won't that help? That which will also help with the sumo. But what's the other possibility? Depending upon the nature of how you get to that lockout. Okay, if you start with a good back position and you're not doing T-spine rounding, and I'm not saying T-spine rounding is incorrect, because for some lifters you're going to pull the best lift that way. You don't have a rounded T-spine and you have a soft lockout where you have to hitch just a little bit. Go back to what we just said about the sumo at the bottom. It's the same muscles that make you struggle at the bottom of a sumo deadlift. Now, when my sumo was stronger, I had been doing a bunch of these glute bridges. And at that time, I did not have those lockout issues with the conventional deadlift. Well, how do we build the conventional deadlift lockout? Glute and hip training and pulling against heavy chains and stuff, right? I'm doing both. Pulling against heavy chains, and I'm doing glute bridges. I'm going to focus on getting strong with the glute bridges. This is fixing the sumo weakness concurrently. Because the muscles, assuming back position is correct, that cause a soft lockout or a weak lockout on a conventional deadlift, get the ability to drive the hips through at the top, are the same general muscles that make you miss a sumo deadlift right off the bottom. So when you look at it in that context, we're killing two birds with one stone. The exercises that fix my problems with the lockout on the conventional deadlift, keeping me from reaching the next tier, are the same muscles that limit my ability to get a sumo moving. So training for them works together. Anything that helps with one will help with the other. So any exercise that helps my sumo break off the floor will probably help the lockout on the deadlift, on the conventional. Okay. Hopefully there's some lights coming on for some of you at this point. Fixing a weak link on another major exercise will oftentimes correct your problems on the lifts that you care about the most. Like maybe you don't care about sumo deadlift because you're stronger conventional. But we kind of get over to that point. Why am I stronger at conventional? Because I can muscle my way through the weak link with compensatory strength on the conventional lockout that is the actual muscles that limit the sumo. So by training the sumo in this case and fixing the weak links in the sumo, it will fix the weak links in the conventional. They're just at completely different parts of the lift. And is it any surprise that because the same muscles are involved that I'm way weaker at the sumo? And the weak point in the sumo is equaling the weakest link in my conventional. These things feed into each other. This is why you eliminate weak links on any lift, because it represents a strength disparity somewhere in your body. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.